order, please. And apologize to everyone for being late. We were in an executive session discussing personnel, and it got a little carried away and over the limit. So we are here, and I apologize for that. Please read the civility and decorum section at the top of the agenda. School board meeting shall proceed in accordance with school board policy, and I'd like to begin with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Grisman?
Here.
Mr. Disler?
Here.
Mr. Fedorcha?
Here.
Ms. Heckman? Here. Ms. Husak? Here. Mr. Keegan? Mr. Kern?
Here.
Ms. Culp? Here. Mr. Green?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. You all received copies of the school board meeting held on February 14th. Is there a meeting motion to approve? Oh, public comment. I always do that. I don't know why. Sorry about that. Do you want to do this one first or the reading first?
We usually do that in person.
Okay.
It looks like Mrs. Snyder would like to comment on middle school kitchen renovations.
Damn, I always want to skip that.
Okay, so I'm Natalie, 7747 Harbor Court, Slatington. I am concerned as to why there is now consideration to use approximately $33,000 out of the food service budget to purchase a conveyor dishwasher for the middle school kitchen instead of the initially proposed commercial door-style dishwasher that was included in the proposal for the middle school kitchen renovation. In addition to this added cost, the middle school kitchen renovation would be eliminating one of the two commercial all-purpose milk coolers and the single deck bake pizza oven. This conveyor dishwasher alone costs $67,168. The initial one in the proposal cost $19,207. What is the major need for this type of dishwasher? Does the elementary school and the high school have this type of dishwasher? If not, why does the middle school need it when it is one of the smaller schools in the district? And why was this type not considered initially? The food service director indicated at the committee meeting on March 9th that due to changes with Congress, participation in the waiver program may be decreased, and due to the possibility of lower enrollment numbers in the waiver program, there may be a decrease in reimbursements, which will potentially impact the food service budget. When this project was initially discussed, the expenditure was to be funded 100% from the Essers funds at a total cost of $655,490. This was the maximum amount allocated for the use from the Essers funds. Therefore, any additions to the project would have to come out of the food and service budget, which, as indicated above, may become unstable in the future, which will in turn ultimately impact taxpayers who are already taxed to the max and are currently struggling to, right now, heat their homes and put food on the table due to the rising cost of everything. I urge all of you to please look out for us taxpayers who elected you and vote against this increase and stick to what was initially proposed. This topic was not even brought up at the committee meeting held on March 9, 2022, and somehow it is now on the agenda for approval. So if anyone wants to answer these questions and maybe open this up for discussion, I mean, I would like to know where the fiscal responsibility is here. Why is there a need for this dishwasher when we didn't want that in the first place? Like, you know, it's up to you if you want to discuss.
Would you like me to respond, sir?
Do you want to do it?
Sure. Absolutely. We're constantly reevaluating any facilities projects. This project is to bring the middle school kitchen up to date. Every other building in the district, every other kitchen in the district does have a conveyor system dishwasher. Initially, we were trying to be as financially responsible with the Essers funds that we have offered to us. Upon further evaluation, we decided that we would like to have the conveyor model here for efficiency. So that being said, we went back and looked, okay, what change orders can we put in place to remove items that we're either doubling down on and were nice to haves, but not necessarily to have. The consensus was that the high efficiency dishwasher was a better decision at this time. Our food services budget is healthy. We are projecting a surplus. and it's appropriate to have the department that's going to be the recipient of the piece of equipment to participate in the funding of the equipment, which, like you said, is a $655,000 cost up front. So to bring about $32,000 out of the food services department, administratively, we thought was a solid recommendation.
My concern is just that we are adding all these costs, additional costs for subscriptions, this, that, ESSER funds are being used, and I'm just worried about the future and how things are going to play out. As I think everyone should be worried about that. I mean, we have the price of gas and fuel and everything that's going to be compromising everybody's situation. I own a business. I know what it's like. So, I mean, you're in a business and you have to understand that these things are going to, you know, collapse at some point. So just want you all to be responsible about that. That's all.
Thank you for bringing that forward. I would just also like to add a point of clarification. Some people may not realize this, that the food services department budget is not part of our general operating fund. It's a standalone budget, which generates its own revenue separate from the tax base.
Okay, that's good to know.
So that's one of those anomalies in school budgeting.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have no one else on the list?
We have one write-in comment, which I've shared with the board secretary, Mrs. Husak.
We did receive a write-in email request to be read this evening. It was received Monday, March 14th, 2022 at 2:54 p.m. From Katya Bender. Sorry, Katya, if I messed your name up. Good evening. My name is Katya Bender, and I reside at 1067 Pine Tree Drive, Slatington, PA. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this written comment. I am not able to attend this evening in person due to my responsibilities with our local Cub Scout pack, but I am still quite interested in the ongoing activities of our board and how those affected by both myself and my children who attend our schools. After reading the agenda for this evening and attachment number 28 regarding the district's role as defendant in this case, I did some further research on my own and with the assistance of several other district parents. It appears to me that this has been ongoing for quite a long time, and there seems to be no end in the near future. While it does appear that NLSD is being wrongfully sued, from what I could find out, I am curious about how this legal representation is being funded. Are tax dollars that could be going towards the direct education of students being used for this? In addition, has there been a cost-benefit analysis done for the situation in the past, and has that been reassessed at any point since then? The longer something like this draws on, obviously the higher the costs become. Finally, if it is determined that the benefit outweighs the potential cost, at what point would that change, if ever? Is there an option for assistance from state or federal funding for something like this, or must the taxpayers eat the cost indefinitely? While I'm not opposed to the principle of this defense, and I feel that property owners have a responsibility to the district they live in to abide by the tax regulations, I am interested in the long-term financial effects that this could have on our district's budget. Please clarify this situation as much as you legally are allowed, since I'm also aware that an active case cannot always be fully discussed. Thank you again for your time and consideration in this matter. Kasia.
I'll take that one, if I may. And first of all, the easy part of the question, does the state or federal government give you any money for that? The answer is absolutely not, no. They come up with a lot of mandates, but they don't give you money to cover any of them. So no, there's no extra money provided. That's money that comes out of the general fund budget. As far as the fact that it's been an ongoing case, yes, it has been. And a couple of the reasons for that are the attorney switched firms, which is why we have the item on the agenda tonight. The judge who was originally going to hear the case didn't hear it for reasons I don't understand, and now he's retired, so now a new judge is taking over, so we're kind of back to square one there with some of those things. I think Sherry did report on these at one of the committee meetings, was it? When you mentioned some of those things as to why this was going on. And so there's just been a whole plethora of things that have gone on that have just made this case drag out, in my opinion, way longer than it should have been. Just one quick response, and I can't get into details, as you know, but has there been a financial analysis? Yes, there has been. The board was informed of what the criteria were, what the objectives were, et cetera, and we looked at it, and I think Mr. Chrisman wasn't on the board, so you're free. But the rest of the board agreed unanimously at the time that, yes, this was something that we wanted to pursue, had to pursue, and couldn't just drop it at that point in time. And I can tell you, every time we get involved in a legal issue like this, yes, we do sit down. Most times our solicitor would be with us. We look at, what attorney fees might be, what we would tend to gain if we win or not lose if we lose, the overall ramifications of what it could cost us, et cetera, and then we make a decision to proceed and go forward. And I can tell you over the years, there's been a few times where I kind of grit my teeth and said, no, I want to go forward with this. But when you looked at it from a financial perspective, it just didn't make sense to proceed. And so, yes, we do a cost analysis on every item, and we did on this one. I'm not sure there's anything that has occurred since then that would change anybody's mind. I think all the facts are still the same as they were at that time. I don't know if you're listening to us streaming, if you have any kind of follow-up questions to that and you want to get it in. I assume you're taking questions, or someone's taking questions tonight? Yes?
No.
Is there communication?
That ended at 5 p.m.
That ended at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay, so she can't get back to us anymore. Okay, I wasn't sure when that ended. So I hope that answers your questions, and we'll go from there. So that's why we're hiring a new firm, because the attorney who initially started to do the work transferred from one office to the other, and that's why we're taking on another firm tonight. So, okay. Anyone else? Should I say anything else? Oh, shut up. Okay.
I think you're fine. You did well.
I'm done. Okay. Now, we have regular school board meeting held on February 14th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And so ordered. Special board reports. Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Unit. Ms. Husak.
Thank you, Mr. Green. In February is our off month, so we did not have a meeting in February, so I really don't have a report. Next Monday is our next meeting, 6:30 at the IU board meeting, or board office, if you're interested to come. That's all this evening.
That's it.
That's it.
LCTI, Mr. Fedorchuk.
Most of the 9 districts have approved the LCTI budget, so we're moving ahead with that. We have now posted the position for our executive director, who is retiring the end of July, or the end of June. So we're beginning to look at a search. And with that search, we're finding out something that we already knew, is that the pool is very limited. When we look at the numbers of people who are eligible to become superintendents and directors of vocational schools, as well as principals, and in many cases even teachers, we're not getting the numbers anymore. It's becoming harder and harder to get even children, when I say children, they're not children anymore when they're hit 18, but young adults to go into education. It is very difficult. So we're in a dilemma right now and looking for, hopefully, the right person, but we may have a long journey ahead of us. So that's one thing.
Thank you, sir. I have no report from LTRIC this evening. Attached, you have something you want to say?
Legislative report.
Legislative.
Oh,
PSERS issued information reminding retirees that they are now able to fill positions such as substitute teachers and bus drivers in day-to-day capacity without jeopardizing their PSERS pension. This is Act 91 of 2021. It runs through the 2023 school year since there is such a shortage of staff. Last week, the Commonwealth Court heard their final witness and closing arguments in Pennsylvania's school funding trial that we've been following. The next stop is a series of post-trial legal filings, and then they will hold oral argument on the legal issues probably at the end of the summer. A reminder that PSBA Advocacy Day is April 25th, and PA primary election is May 17th. And I will keep reminding you about both of those things for the next 2 months. So that's my report.
all done. Thank you very much. Now, committee reports and our meetings. Item E, you have copies of the various meetings that were held. Moving on to page 2, item F, student reps. I don't see them tonight, so I guess
They
we'll
both
skip.
had other commitments.
Outside of commitments, I understand that. Yeah, they're both busy people. So solicitor's report. Attorney?
No report tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Business manager, Ms. Malatoris?
Hi, just to brief the board, it was in my update this week, but just to reiterate, I was at PASBO last week for the 67th annual PASBO conference. I did attend 2 sessions on the budget for the upcoming school year. The first one was presented by PASBO. PASBO is basically taking a very cautious approach to what is currently in the governor's budget, saying be cautious what you budget because they're just not sure with this being his final budget, his legacy budget, where everything's going to land when it comes to what school districts are going to get versus what all the other pots throughout the state are going to get. On the flip side of that, I attended a session with House Speaker Brian Cutler. He told a totally different story. He said currently the state budget has over $6 billion in surplus revenue in it currently, and he said they are going into what is now the positive part of the months of the year. They tend to gain most of their revenues during the month of April, May, and June. So he feels that that $6 billion budget is still going to be there, and that the budget, those dollars that they have that were federally funded and state surplus fund has to be spent. So he says you can count on it, but he too also said, I don't know how much you're going to be able to count on because all of the other people also have their hands in the pot too. They want more money for this, that, and everything else. So he says when it all shakes out, it depends who has the loudest voice and who gets the most money. They're really hoping that it goes to education, as Governor Wolf has always been a staunch supporter of public education, and that's where he wants his final budget to lay. On the positive note, what he kind of said was he really thought we were going to have a budget prior to the end of June. He thought because the governor, first, if we all remember back to his first year in office, it was till almost February till we had our budget. And they do not feel like he wants his end of year and finally going out of office to be not a finalized budget in a timely fashion. So they're saying we should hopefully be able to see it by early June. So if that's the case, it's good for us as a district because I can get those revenues more tied into what we think we're going to be getting. So that was my PASBO update.
Thank you, Ms. Malatoris. We have the Essers update, and I don't see Dr. Stolker. She's down there? Okay, thank you.
So a quick Esser update. At the board's places, you have the packet of Esser funding. I believe they're also outside at the sign-in table, and it will be posted online tomorrow. Esser 1 has been expended for some time. Esser 2, we purchased since last month snacks for the WIDA assessments that we gave in January and February. We paid salaries and benefits for paraprofessionals and our technology integration specialists. We have also had some expenditures related to hotspots. For our Esser 3 grant, we have our salary for our Director of Educational Technology, Curriculum and Instruction, and also a nurse that we have at Peters Elementary School. We began spending on the next page our Esser 3B funds. Our after-school programs are all starting or have started in all 4 of our buildings at this point. So we have begun to pay for the salaries of our teachers and paraprofessionals that are involved in those after-school programs or after-school tutoring programs. We've also spent some money from Esser in learning loss, and that is for our social worker that we're contracting with, and also Ed Insight, which is a platform and a data warehouse platform that we're using across the district as well. So that's what we have and have spent through February of this past year. That's all I have.
Any questions? Anyone? No? Thank you very much for your report. We appreciate it. Your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I'm very happy to share with our community and Northern Lehigh members this evening that we received a $1,000 anonymous donation to go directly towards gas cards for our homeless families. Sometimes we have families who, for one reason or another, find themselves to be homeless. They are still able to attend our schools, even if they're doubled up somewhere else. We move to get transportation in place for them quickly, but as you know, it's not always a next morning type of arrangement to put the transportation in place. So we issued the families gas cards. This is one way that we are able to support these families, and through a very generous family in the district, they donated $1,000 towards gas cards. I'd like to congratulate our Northern Lehigh Little Theater. I hope some of you were able to see this year's production of the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. I was able to see it Sunday afternoon. It was excellent. Just bravo to all the cast, the crew, Mr. Ham, the director, and Mr. Shuey, the arts director for the program. It was another excellent representation of what our students can do here. I'd also like to congratulate senior Matt Frame. Matt was able to place 3rd in districts for wrestling, 5th in Southeast Regionals, and it was also a state qualifier. So he had a very successful senior season, not only on the football field, but also on the wrestling mats. And then finally, just a quick correction. You'll see that the draft calendar is on the agenda later this evening. We look at this probably a dozen times before it goes out, and this morning, one of our very astute administrative assistants saw that there was a mistake on it. In the top section, it lists April 6th through April 9th, 2023 as being the spring break. Actually, down in the little box for April, it is accurate there. It is April 6th through April 10th, 2023. So I would just like that correction to be included in the minutes for the board to consider that calendar this evening. And that concludes my report this evening, sir.
Thank you. As I stated earlier, we did have an executive session that began at 6 o'clock and unfortunately ran a bit late, but we got over at 7:15. And that was strictly 100% personnel this evening. Speaking of personnel, on the agenda you have items A, B, C, D, E, and F. Is there a motion to approve the personnel items?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Anyone? Second? We have a second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. And so ordered. We have policy, items A, some board readings first policy, and item B, some second readings, whole bunch of policies there that we've gone over. Is there a motion to approve the items under policy?
Here.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
You have a second, thank you. Discussion, questions on any of the policy? Input? Yep. If not, all those in favor of approving the policy items, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. And so ordered. We have one conference, item A. Is there a motion to approve the conference? Anyone? Motion to approve the conference?
So moved.
I think that was done, I'm not sure. Is there a second?
Gary was
Yeah,
the second.
Mr. Fedorcha was second.
Who said, somebody
Gary
second,
was
Chad second, thank you.
Mr. Fedorcha.
Oh, Fedorcha, okay. Any questions on the conference? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no, and so ordered. We have curriculum and instruction, items A, B, C, D, E, and F, and where is it, item D, the calendar, as amended by Dr. Link. Is there a motion to approve curriculum and instruction?
I'll make the motion.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second? Any discussion or questions?
Yes, item B.
Yes.
My one concern I have is with not necessarily the entire calendar, but I want to kind of concentrate on our high school staff. Next year, I believe, is going to be our last year in block scheduling. And if anybody knows anything about block scheduling, we have a semester in the first half of the year, we have a semester the second half of the year. So essentially, our high school staff is ending one school year and essentially beginning a new school year, starting the next day. Is there any time allotment in the high school calendar or the calendar in general that possibly we could give our staff a chance to get ready for that first day of school that occurs every January? I think it's essential that, they have a little bit of time to finish their grading, get everything finished with the first semester, and then, transition right back into in some cases, new classes, totally new bulletin boards, new materials, setting up essentially a whole brand new school year. So my concern is that sometimes I don't think they have enough time to get ready. And I just would like a consideration made that we give them some time to prepare.
Thank you. Any other comments anywhere? Okay, at this point, we do a motion on the floor, so I'm going to call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
Roll call.
Ms. Husak? Yes. Mr. Keegan? Mr. Kern?
Yes on everything, no on item B.
Unfortunately, we don't have a division of the question
No.
at this point, Bob, so,
Ms. Culp?
Yes.
Mr. Chrisman?
Yes.
Mr. Disler?
Yes.
Mr. Fedorcha?
Yes.
Ms. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
sure.
Motion passes.
Motion passes 7-1. Okay, I think we're into old business, which we don't have any of. Under new business, motion to approve resolution to rehire Dr. Tanya Stoker as Assistant Superintendent. Is there a motion to approve that item?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Bob. Motion by Mr. Kern. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Discussion, questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And so ordered. Under financial, we have A, B, C, D, E, and F. Is there a motion to approve the items under financial?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second, thank you. Discussion, questions on any of the financial items? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. And so ordered. Next, we'll move into legal, and I'm going to take both of them together, item A and B. Is there and C, excuse me. Is there a motion to approve the three items under legal?
Here.
Motion, is there a second? Second for the legal items?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the legal items. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. And so ordered. Anything under correspondence? Anyone? You have anything? No?
Nope, not this evening.
Not this evening, thank you. Got some information items there, some minutes of some meetings. Any guests that would like to make some comments at this time? Anyone? No? Just an FYI, the committee meeting's coming up next month. In finance, which was a very short one this month, we're going to start our budget. So anyone has questions, concerns about the budget, I think there'll be a lot of information shared that night. So you might want to come to that meeting and hear what the committee's saying about the budget. Is there any other business that needs to be attended to? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion?
Here.
Second? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the second.
Mr. Disler.
Mr. Disler was second. Okay, thank you. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And we're done.